Now, earlier I spoke via Skype with an expert on nuclear radiation. Janette Sherman is a physician and a former member of the U.S. Atomic Energy Commission. I began by asking her why this leakage was happening at Fukushima.
You're not going to like my answer, but water runs downhill. And of course, the ocean is lower than the plant. And trying to control the plant, the owners have been pouring tons and tons and tons of water to keep the plant under control so that there's not a nuclear reaction and to cool the spent fuel rods.
But as you say, if they're pouring these tons and tons of water into the plant, did they not take precautions to stop it flowing into the sea?
Well, they've tried. They built a barrier. They dug down a barrier. And of course, if you've ever had a leak in your home, you know that it's very hard to stop water from running around any barrier. The latest I've heard is that TEPCO, the owner of the Fukushima plant, wants to freeze the barrier. And I have no idea how this could possibly be done.
So they're actually going to build a wall of frozen water. Is that what they do?
Well, this is the latest thing I've heard that's been proposed, but I can't imagine how it could work because you have to remember that the water they're pouring onto the plant and onto the spent fuel rods heats up because that's why they're pouring the water on, because it's hot and they need to keep it cooled. So how are you going to if you drop an ice cube into your warm tea, it's going to melt. And if you pour this hot water over the a frozen barrier, I think it's going to melt.
Right, and as I understand it, one of the longer-term plans is to repair the walls and the floor of the reactor units themselves, but they've been unable to do that so far. What is preventing them from repairing that?
Well, I'm sure the high radiation levels. You cannot send workers in there for more than a couple of minutes. Otherwise, they're going to get high doses of radiation. We have to remember that even the Chernobyl plant, which, that plant melted down, it's like over 25 years ago, and that plant is still leaking, but not like Fukushima.
Right, from what we know about what is going on at the plant right now, is this going to get worse?
I hate to say this, but yes, I think it will. And my concern is the enormous amount of radioactive material flowing with the water into the Pacific Ocean. And we know that the ocean flows northward along Alaska and then down the coast of Canada and the United States. And I think it probably will imperil the entire Pacific Ocean and the sea life that's in it.
So very quickly, what you're saying here is that this water can actually reach other shores, can reach other countries as well.
Oh, absolutely. We already know that.
Right, the radioactive content in this water, does that dissipate or does it just stay in the water all the time?
Well, both cesium and strontium have a half-life of about 30 years. It takes 10 half-lives for each of these isotopes to decay down to nothing. We contaminate the plankton, and that's eaten by, shrimp and oysters and fish and mammals. And as most of these move up the food chain, they get concentrated. Particularly strontium-90 gets concentrated in the bones.
Janette Sherman, we're going to have to leave it there. Thanks for joining us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.